Ladies and gentlemen, Chinese running shoes are the talk of the town right now in the running shoe space. And today I've put together a little overview of all of the Chinese running shoes that I've run in so far. I've broken it out into three categories, which you'll see behind me and on your screen right now. The three categories are racing shoes, a daily trainer, and super trainers. So I'm going to go through those, sort of talking about the category as a whole, using each shoe to reflect upon each category. Okay, three racing shoes. I'm going to give you the name really quick. Wind PB Pro, Dynafish Danian 1, and Anta C202 7. We are going to go one by one, starting with the Wind PB Pro. This is the most technologically advanced of the three shoes that I'm about to discuss. Wind PB Pro is a fully uncompressed aliphatic TPU midsole with a carbon fiber plate that weighs only about 150 grams. And the price is something we're going to discuss at the end of this, but this is very inexpensive compared to anything on the Western brand, especially the only shoe that has a similar midsole to this in the Western running shoe space is the Pro Evo from Adidas, which costs $500. This cost, I think, like 150 to 200 in that range. And it's hard. I'll explain the pricing later and why it's hard to say for sure what each of them cost. But before we get to that, what is this shoe? What's going on here? Should you be considering it for your next marathon? That's a very good question to ask yourself. It is a 4mm drop, so it has a much more full-bodied forefoot. It doesn't feel particularly aggressive on your calves, but I'm not the right person to be guidance on that because I tend to tolerate lower drop a lot better than the vast majority of runners. So for what it's worth, this didn't put a lot of pressure on my calves, but that is something that be mindful. It's a 4mm drop. It's not quite a full stack as well, so it's a little bit more aggressive in its stack height since you're not getting the full 40. A lot of people really prefer that in the racing shoes, but I will tell you that the uncompressed ATPU in here is firm enough and it withstands the pounding forces of running for long enough that I don't actually think it needs to be 40mm, and that's probably why they designed it this way. This is a hyper shoe. Do not get it twisted. This is a hyper shoe. It is incredible. It's truly an incredible shoe. I actually ran probably my biggest workout of last block in this, and it was 3x5K, and I PR'd sequentially in the first 2 reps of that workout in the 5K. So if that tells you anything, obviously my fitness was blowing up at the time. I'm still in my noob gains era, and that's probably really why I PR'd, but I was in this shoe and I had a great time in it. And yeah, I've actually, the previous PR to those 2 PRs was also in this shoe. So this is a really great 5K shoe, apparently, but it also is something that I would take for longer efforts. I've done a long run, maybe 2 20-mile efforts in this. I can't remember. I think I did maybe a 19 and a 20 in this. This is sitting up at about 100 miles for me and no signs of slowing down yet. So I think it's probably going to be even more durable than your average running shoe. So yeah, Wind PB Pro. I'll stop yapping or else this video is going to end up being 45 minutes long. Next, Dynafish Danian 1. Saga Su just did a breakdown of the Dynafish XiaoNian and explained some stuff that really clarified the naming convention on Dynafish as a brand. Apparently, the Danian could be said better as Danian, right, and XiaoNian, right? So it's actually this is the big catfish, and the XiaoNian is the small catfish. And it's a play, I guess it's like a way of ascribing size to the catfish, and it's a fighting catfish. I don't understand the lore fully. Go check out Sagasu's video on the Dynafish XiaoNian for a little bit more clarity than I was just able to provide here. But I actually got this before the much more popular XiaoNian, and this was one of my first forays into Chinese running shoes. So I ordered this, and the Qiaodan Wind 3TR as my first order from Taobao. That's how I broke into the Chinese space. Because it's shipping from China, decided to send on 3 different shoes at once and see which ones I liked and which ones worked for me. And sort of spoiler, they all worked for me more or less. And we'll get to the shoe in a minute. This was very early days for me in my navigating the Chinese market, and I'm very fortunate to have come across this early on. I think I was watching one of Qiaodan Wind's videos, and I saw like, oh, soft PIBA, really fast, maybe marathon, but probably more geared towards half marathon. Yeah, that sounds like something I would enjoy. And I've really enjoyed the shoe. It's sort of fallen off for me recently, partially because at about 100 miles, the foam started to go pretty rapidly. And I don't think that actually stops the shoe from performing well. I think that the way it fits my foot and the flat geometry of it really does still work for me. And I think that the extended foam chunk at the very tip of the forefoot contributes to how despite the foam sort of deteriorating early, that I'm still able to run aggressively in this shoe. Initially, I got some plate feel in this. There's not a full length plate, but a 3/4 length plate from here to here-ish. And it's not very wide either. It's sort of right in the middle. But when I loosened up the laces across the entire eyelet chain, I stopped having that sensation. Like I haven't had it since then. So that's a pro tip for not just this shoe, but any carbon plated shoe. If you feel like you're getting plate feel really aggressively, really immediately, try loosening up the laces. That might solve it for you. So, but what is the Dynafish Danian 1, or rather, to not be redundant, the Danian 1? It's a marathon intended racing shoe that might be better suited for the half. It also has a 4mm drop. It feels less, somehow it feels faster or like snappier than the Douyin PB Pro, but I think that's because the foam at its outset when I first got it was more of an explosive, energetic, laughably enjoyable PIBA. Whereas the foam in the Douyin PB Pro is a kind of more serious and more performance oriented and maybe a little more stable too. It's not as compressive in its propulsion, but it is probably, like, the longer that I've run in both of these two shoes, I actually think the Douyin PB Pro is the faster of the two shoes. But when I initially reviewed the Dynafish, that was the one that I picked as the faster between these two shoes. And they could serve different purposes. I think that the geometry in the Dynafish reminds me much more of the Takumi Sen 11. And so it's a little bit more flat to the ground, maybe better for sessions than for racing. But they're both fantastic. I mean, it's really hard to say. They're both fantastic. Again, this was pretty inexpensive as well. And that's all I'll say about the Danian 1. It's been a while since I've run in this, so I don't want to speak to something that I don't have an accurate memory of. But I've really enjoyed this. I probably will get at least one more run on this before ultimately retiring it, because it is a really fun shoe to run in. If you all have been following the channel, you'll know the Anta C202 has stolen my heart. This is the slowest of the 3 carbons that I've gotten from China, from Taobao, but it might be ultimately my favorite in a way, because it's not something that I would really reach for any one particular race. But if I have a key workout coming up, if I have some fast miles coming up, if I even had some slow miles coming up, if I don't know what to wear and I want something that's stable but still performance oriented with a denser foam feel, I'm gonna just reach for the C202 It's such a jack of all trades, and it's available on the US market. Like, you could get it from Anta's US website, and it's only $130, and it's easy. Yeah, it's just easy all around to get along with for me in any pace range. Easy to get a good lockdown, easy to slow down if I need to, easy to pick up the pace if I need to. Very, very stable and planted for fast workouts. I think it's a 34.28 for a 6 mil drop. I'm gonna not remember all of the stats for all of the shoes that I'm mentioning today, but that I'm fairly confident about. It weighs a little heavier than either of the other two shoes. I did forget to mention that this is also 150 grams. This is in a size 10, this is around 220 grams. And the foam, it's really the foam. It's like a much denser TPEE, and you could feel that it is very bottom heavy of a shoe, but somehow the way the upper is constructed, it really doesn't affect the ride. Sometimes when you have something like the Adios Pro 3, the bottom heaviness felt weird for some people. I mean, it was something that was noticeable for pretty much anybody, and some people liked it or didn't mind it, and some people didn't love that. This doesn't feel bottom heavy to me. It feels very cohesive as a shoe, and I've used it for a wide range of paces and a wide range of applications. So I've said a lot about the C202 recently on this channel, so we'll leave it at that. The one true daily trainer that I got, the Qiaodan Wind 3TR. It is a like positioned sort of as an energetic, soft, comfortable daily trainer, and because of the soft foam, it has a midfoot shank that you could see right in there. There's a new version of this that I'm probably not going to review because I'm oversaturated in the daily trainer space right now. I'm reaching for too many things that I already really like. No, I'll probably not reach for the 4. And it seems like the 4 is also a bit of a change to the 3TR. But what I really liked about this was that it's just a nice, comfortable foam, and it's a nice daily training foam. I'll be honest, this one fell off the most for me. It's about an average weight. It's about an average underfoot sensation. It's a shoe that you could run in, that you could go for a variety of daily runs in, and you could pick up the pace. It's not a slouch, but it's not as quick as something like the Evo SL or the Saucony Endorphin Azzurra. It's great. It's really good. It doesn't blow me away in any one particular way, and that's kind of why I stopped running in it. I think I have about 60 miles on it. Yeah, when something doesn't really impress me over time, then I'm not gonna run in it over time. But again, this is something like $50 on Taobao, so, and it's probably cheaper now. So we'll talk about price. We'll talk about price. It's hard to not bring that up on each of these shoes, but we will talk about price. Now, the favorite category, the category of the year, in fact, if that's an award we could start delivering, is the Super Trainer and the Anta C202. Yeah. The Anta Zone 2 is the first of 3 super trainers we're here to discuss today, and the Anta Zone 2 is so light on foot. It's 193 grams, I want to say, in a size 9.5. I should have gone with a 10 on this, just cautioning everybody out there. I've said that a lot. There's plenty of reviews from my channel of the Anta Zone 2 already. I have like some 3 or 4 specific reviews for this shoe because I've been getting some mileage in it and really enjoying it. It is not a Zone 2 shoe. It feels a lot faster than that. But it has it uses the same mold as the Anta C202, so it's probably around 36 or 34.28, and I'm only basing this off of the C202 stats, so whatever, doesn't matter. What I get from this foam is an incredibly soft, very dynamic, but very pillowy sort of forefoot sensation, and it's immediate. The rebound is like elastic, rubbery, and is soft, so it's like you're sinking in, but it just carries you on very floatily forward, and I need to get more miles on this. I've been enjoying the miles that I've gotten on it. It's, for me, one of those shoes that is actually kind of hard to slow down in because it makes me so happy to run in, but also there's something about the geometry maybe, or the weight. I think it might really be the weight, that it feels like you're a knife carving through wind. And when I feel like that, it's hard for me to chill out a little bit. Anta Zone 2. Super Boom. The Super Boom Big Boom Blaster, the Ning Red Hare 9 Ultra. 3 layers of different soft, bouncy foam with a Super Boom capsule encased in some plasticky red paint that contains the air, so that there's this big air cushion inside of the shoe that like acts as a non-Newtonian air mattress and feels so wild and cool. And it's really a relaxing, lock you in, super trainer, long run, vibey shoe. It feels great to run in. I've enjoyed this. It's tall. It's got a bit of structure to the heel collar, and those are the notes. Go watch the other videos I put out on this recently. I've said a lot about it. There's a lot. This one's taken the Western world by storm right now. And the reason for that too is I think that Ning did the smart thing and made it available through Amazon. Now, it's still gonna take a long time to get to you because it's still produced and shipped from China direct to consumer. So be mindful that when you order things like any of these shoes, it's gonna take a while to get to you. And I understand that that's a challenge for the Chinese running shoe market that we'll talk about in a little bit. My personal favorite on this list, and I think it's really the breakout star of the show, the Dynafish XiaoNian. This is almost a flawless shoe. Like, the only thing I would actually change on it long term is the terrible, terrible laces and the amount of dog hair that gets embedded in all of my stuff. All of my stuff is dog hair. But though, yeah, seriously, the only thing I would change is the laces, or the only thing that I think needs to change is the laces. Maybe the upper material could be a little nicer, but that's like such a nitpicky thing. I have done everything in this shoe. I have over 200 miles in it. I've also got another 50 plus walking miles. And when I say plus, I mean plus. I just didn't track it, so that's the low end of the estimate. But I brought this to Italy with me as my walking shoe. So comfortable for that. Airport, walking, everything shoe. And yeah, I've run every type of run in this: really fast miles, really slow miles, long runs, and all of the above. Everything that you want a super trainer to do, it's capable of. The number one defining quality of this, the best part of this shoe for me, has been the rocker at the front and the rocker at the rear. The rocker at the rear for me, as a mid to forefoot striker, just gets out of my way, and the rocker at the front just keeps me rolling and rolling and rolling through each stride. It's a phenomenal shoe, and it only weighs 200 grams. 200 grams, 200 grams. It's like 41 or 42 millimeters a stack in the heel, 200 grams. Like, what? It's so good. It's such a good shoe. Yeah, and it's the one that really started my overall like interest in the Chinese market. And obviously I'd already tried 3 shoes at that point, but this really sold it for me. It drove home the point that actually probably China is making mostly better shoes than the West at this point, or at least in a lot of situations, China is starting to beat the West in just quality and overall performance of the shoes. And it makes sense too. They have access to the factories, they own the factories, they produce all of the Western shoes, so they learn the production strategies and like the best way to make shoes. It's all laid out there for them, so that a small brand like Dynafish with only 2 shoes, they only have 2 shoes. I think they also have a slide. I've seen that on Taobao, but they only have 2 shoes, and both shoes are phenomenal. Granted, the Danian one had its flaws, like the foam was pretty rough. I think that the foam could have, been a different foam. They should not use that same foam again in the next version, but the shoe overall was very cohesive and very well thought out, and I think they're excellent at understanding geometry. So Dynafish, if you're watching, like, trust your gut on any further shoes that you put out there. Your geometry understanding is next level. Like, I don't know another brand that's had 2 shoes that fit geometry-wise, the intention of the shoe, as well as the Danian one and the XiaoNian. Those are all the shoes that I have purchased and tested so far. I have a full 4 more on the way. Some people will be happy with the ones that I ordered. Some people will wish I had ordered other ones to test. The nonstop progress of time will continue marching forward into the dark abyss of the end of entropy. And I will be testing shoes for as long as I want to, and forever and ever until I stop doing it. So there will be no shortage of Chinese shoes in the future. You have 4 more on the way that I hope will be really enjoyable reviews for all of you and educational. Before we wrap this whole thing up, the big looming question on my mind is price and how the Western market will cope with the fact that these shoes are like half to a third as expensive in a lot of cases as their Western counterpart. I mean, the XiaoNian retailed at $70 US. Now, I've been doing big batches of shipping shoes over to the US, so the cost is defrayed across the size of the box. Like, they repackage the shoes into a bigger box, thus getting rid of some of the packaging. So, like, some of the shoe boxes and extra or useless weight, right? So I cut down on shipping costs, but with shipped from China to the US plus the retail price of around $70, I got this for about 100 out the door, maybe even a little less. The Evo SL at its steepest discount is 100. I mean, it retails for 150, and it's substantially worse than the XiaoNian. And I mean, really, the XiaoNian is substantially better than the Evo SL, and it's not even close. Like, I've been over this. This is not an opinion that's in a bubble either. A lot of people have tried both shoes, and there's a clear winner between the two. This is taller stack. It's lighter weight. It's slightly better foam, I would say. It's more accommodating, or more democratic foam, at least. It's softer, so more people will enjoy it. The outsole is more durable. The outsole is stickier. The upper is better fitting. The laces are actually worse than Adidas, which is just astounding, but that's the only one thing. So I'm picking on the Evo SL because it's a fun shoe to pick on. I've run a lot of miles in the Evo SL, so I feel perfectly fine to pick on it. But it is crazy what these Chinese shoes are doing for the cost that they're doing it. And the only shoe on this list that I'm sort of meh about is the Qiaodan Wind 3TR. All of the other shoes are phenomenal in their own right, and not just in comparison to their Western counterpart. There's hardly even a counterpart to the Ning Red Hare 9 Ultra. The Super Boom capsule in here, the only thing that's similar to it is the AirPods, the Air units in Nike shoes. I haven't run in a shoe with those, so I cannot specifically say whether or not they're directly comparable, but I think that the triple layer of soft and different foam in this shoe and the way it all works together is crazy innovative. And like the idea of wrapping a really soft foam in like a cellophane or like a plastic paint of some sort, that is crazy. I mean, it's just a crazy shoe. And this is what the Chinese running companies are doing. They're innovating, they're doing it for less money, and they're making aesthetic shoes that I think look better, broadly speaking, than a lot of Western shoes. Maybe not all of them. There are certain brands that don't do excellent with styling, and certain brands that do a little better with it. But the value that you're getting out of any one of these shoes, I mean, the Douyin PB Pro uncompressed aliphatic TPU, that was like between 100 and 200, somewhere probably around 150, 180 at most that I paid for that. I can't remember. It might have even been 100. And the reason it's hard to know is because going through the second step of going through the logistics company, all of that math is stuff that I just can't keep in my head long term. But the point is, crazy value in the Chinese running shoe market. That's why it's blowing up right now. That's why I'm going to continue to lean into this and just try shoes. I have miles to run. I have to run miles to get better at the marathon, and I need shoes to do that. And I've been having fun in Chinese shoes, so I'm going to keep running in Chinese shoes. That's how it is. And also, like, I don't know if anybody's talking about, well, China exploits their workers or any of, the political stuff in that. I understand that there's some feelings about uh, labor overseas, but you have to keep in mind that the people that are working in the Ning factory, that's broadly speaking the same factory as a Nike factory. It's not like altogether different when you have a concentration of resources. And I don't know this for sure, but if anybody has any further information on if there's a difference in the factories for Chinese produced shoes versus American produced shoes in China, do let me know. I could always be wrong, but to my knowledge, like, since you have these well-established big factories for doing all of the foaming and sewing all of the textiles together, creating the uppers, like whatever, extruding the plastic yarns to create uppers, right? Those are all highly specialized machines, and they will concentrate into one or a few different factories that produce these things. Like, that's just how manufacturing works. So a lot of the brands are running through the same factories. The workers are the same, broadly speaking, are the same workers. Again, unless you know differently than I do. It's, you could feel a way about it that supporting, right, potentially the poor labor conditions in China, but by buying any shoe, by buying any clothes, basically anything in the world, like, China produces 30% of the stuff that exists, right? So all of our products, all of the things we consume, anything that you're watching this on right now, I mean, probably it was assembled in part in China and then in part somewhere else, but China builds everything in the world. So it's, I don't know. I don't want to go too hard on the philosophy behind this because perhaps I'm not the most enlightened on it. So I'm always trying to learn. I did just watch a really fantastic, beautiful, poetic documentary called Ascension. And it's mostly still shots of various industries in China. And it's subtitled, it's in Chinese, it's subtitled, but there's not very much spoken words, really. And you could, even if you watched it on mute, you could get the idea about what's going on. So, yeah, super fascinated with the whole Chinese running shoe space and in general China. So yeah, it's really cool times to be alive. We're watching a global power dynamic shift, and I'm curious to see how all of that will develop. Thank you all very much for watching, and as always, stay in motion.